cases, if the complainant won't give us a sworn statement, if they won't show up, I mean, so much of this is, a lot of times they'll make the complaint, the respondent will submit their response contradicting the complaint, and then when our investigator goes out there, the complainant either won't return a call or an email. Sometimes they're hostile to our investigator. So sometimes it's just not somebody that we could even use as a witness, and without them as a witness, we just wouldn't ever be able to prove a charge. And if there's ever, just on the surface, clearly a violation, I still recommend, I still put them in the legal report recommending penalizing. But so usually this will be something like, I didn't get my title for 3 months, and then like we try to go get a statement from the complainant, and they just won't have any contact with the investigator. Something they'll say, oh, we tried to contact them, 3 times, and they never, we had their title in the office. We tried to tell them to come pick it up, and they never responded. So I mean, if you have a response like that and they won't answer our investigator, it's hard to argue with them. So there'll be a lot of situations like that for what number 50 is showing.
I was just curious because that's the first one I've seen like that, and so okay, all right. And lastly, I'll need some guidance on this case number 69. We don't see too many of wholesale transactions on here. On this particular one, based on my knowledge I'm pretty sure this is something I'm familiar with, so I needed to know how to move forward on this particular one to see if I need to recuse myself in any way.
I believe from conversations with you've had with Jason, you do need to recuse yourself on this one.
Okay, and if I'm recused just from this one particular piece. Any comments? Can I address any comments about this? Can I, or just?
It's probably best you don't. But
okay.
If you'd like to come speak with me afterwards,
okay,
I'm happy to discuss.
Okay.
Discuss with you.
Okay, thank you. And that's all I have.
All right.
Got our chairman coming in, Commissioner Roberts. Good morning. What, Commissioner Clayton? I didn't hear you. 6. Oh, okay. Okay. Does any committee members have any other comments about the report or any concern? I just wanted to go to the re-presentation cases. Just want to make a comment that I think the staff done a wonderful job on a lot of these cases, on the re-representation cases. Trying to getting some funds in, I really believe that you did a great job on it. Just want to compliment the staff on what a good job you guys done on these re-presentation cases.
Yeah, we're trying to settle a lot of our old cases and get a lot of these cleaned up.
Chairman Roberts, I know you may have had a chance to review any of them. Do you have any comments on?
I did, Mr. Chairman. I did, Mr. Chairman. I thought the cases were.
Okay. I just noticed we got a lot of business licensing being penalized because of business licensing. Do we have a trend of what causing that?
I'm not sure. I haven't been here a full year. It may be something that just comes up the same time every year, or it might just be inspectors have their training and they're told to look closer at this. Most of these are stemming from notice of violations on the business license. So it's when the inspector goes out for the annual inspection.
This may be more along the same lines as far as training and new stuff, but I've noticed in this report specifically things mentioned in buyer's guides, and I've never seen that before. And I know that's a federal monitored by the Federal Trade Commission. The state actually oversees that, but I didn't know. Is there anything new popped up as a result of seeing this on the report?
With buyer's guides, it is something we regulate. We have a statute that says you have to comply with any state or federal law, and so that covers buyer's guides. However, first offense is usually a letter of warning. So, if all they have is buyer's guides, then we'd be giving them a letter of warning. If it's like a buyer's guide and a business license, then $250.
What's the trigger point for a dealer being required to have a buyer's guide in Spanish?
Not sure.
Be one. I guess there still is one.
I could speculate, but it won't be only speculation. I've been told, and I can't remember where, but I attend a lot of trade associations. If you advertise that you have a Spanish-speaking person, then you have to have documentation. And I know I visited CarMax, and they basically, when they were advertising Spanish, they had dual buyer's guides on the windows.
But the trigger was for being required, but that makes sense.
I think if the likelihood of you serving a population that is bilingual, that's a trigger in itself. If you're serving a population in an area that that there's a high possibility, then you would be triggered at that point to also make those disclosures in Spanish.
Is there any more comments? None, rather. Just wanted to finalize the report that, do we need to adopt it here and then?
We'll need a motion to adopt as amended, including the entry number 35 and the numbering of the supplemental legal report.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Any opposed? Ayes have it. So ordered. Let the record show that, I'm sure it did, that Commissioner Norton rescued himself from number 69. Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. So ordered. The motor vehicle legal report adjourned at 8:20 a.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The regular commission meeting is scheduled to start at 9 o'clock. You're welcome to take a break and enjoy some refreshments in the back until the remainder of the committee joins us. Thank you.
Nothing in these envelopes.
That will be for if you actually have any receipts for your travel, you'll just place them in that envelope. And if there are any forms that
9:02, July 25th, and we're convening the regular meeting of the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission. Director Shaw, would you call roll, please?
Chairman Roberts,
Here.
Commissioner McNabb, here. Commissioner Galvin,
Here.
Commissioner Clayton, here. Commissioner Fox,
Here.
Commissioner Hatcher, Commissioner Jackson,
Here.
Commissioner Murray,
Here.
Commissioner Trickett, Commissioner Norton,
Here.
Commissioner Parr, Commissioner Vaughn, here. Commissioner Webb, Commissioner Tomaso,
Here.
Commissioner Levy, Commissioner Wyatt, Commissioner Evans.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We need an iPad for Commissioner Murray. We're one short. Or we need an adjournment.
The next one here. No. Oh, it's his. Okay. Two.
One's
We
coming.
need two. Commissioner Murray and
Or I can share. I don't care.
Commissioner Vaughn, I think, needs one.
Share. We're good.
Oh, do we have another one?
Okay, is everyone covered? Do you have access?
They're having to share. Is there another one for?
We don't care. That's fine. We're fine. You can share. Here.
Hey, we'd like to welcome Commissioner Victor Evans to the Motor Vehicle Commission. And,
Thank you.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about what you do and so forth?
Yeah, sure. I was appointed by the governor, I guess January of last year. My day job is with Students First Tennessee, education policy organization, nonprofit. So I do spend lots of time on the Hill between January and April. So it's a nice break for now, but it is election season, so it keeps me pretty busy. But honored to be here and serving with all of you. So thank you for the opportunity.
While you're on the Hill, you probably see some of our audience members.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
All right. The meeting notice was published.
The meeting notice, this meeting's date, time, and location have been noticed on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission website and included as part of this year's meeting calendar since July 13, 2015. Additionally, the agenda for this month's meeting has been posted on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission website since July 22, 2016. This meeting has also been noticed on the tn.gov website. I would also like to advise the committee that we are in a pilot phase. We are live streaming today, for those of you who may not be aware of that.
Need to adopt the agenda or amend it if needed. Would you take a look at the agenda and looking for...
Mr. Chairman, I need to make one amendment to the agenda. As you consider that under old business, we will be considering a business process item, which is a review and an action of a previously requested topic brought by some of our friends at the legislature regarding temporary tag schedules. So that one item will be added under old business. We'll review at that time.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the agenda.
Commissioner Jackson, second.
Commissioner Vaughn makes a motion and Commissioner Jackson seconds. Any concerns or anything needs to be brought to the attention of the agenda? Hearing none, by voice vote, those in favor of the motion to approve the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The agenda is approved. If you'll take a look at your minutes from the April 25th meeting, please. Yes.
Chairman Roberts always has the much better solution.
I'm the one that turned it on. Forgot about the noise.
Commissioner Jackson, motion to adopt the April 25th, 2016 minutes.
Second. Commissioner Jackson makes a motion to approve and is seconded by Commissioner Galvin. Any concerns or comments? Hearing none, by voice vote, those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. We're ready to go to the salesperson's appeal part of the meeting. Rocky Goodson, Tri-Cities Dodge of Kingsport. Would that be Mr. Goodson? Goodson has not answered the call, so we'll need a motion to uphold the denial or not to uphold.
Commissioner Jackson, motion that we uphold the denial of Rocky Goodson.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Jackson, to uphold the denial of the license application, seconded by Commissioner Vaughn. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Yes is in favor of the motion.
Chairman Roberts.
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb.
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton. Commissioner Fox.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Tomaso,
Yes.
Commissioner Levy, Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ernest Hartzell, Oak Ridge Nissan. Right there, sir, at the podium, please. That'd be great. Are you Mr. Hartzell? Yes. Welcome to the commission. Counsel, could you describe the reason for the denial, please?
A review of Mr. Hartzell's salesperson application and judgment does reveal a conviction for a crime involving moral turpitude. In the case of Mr. Hartzell, the documented conviction is for conspiracy to distribute 5 kilograms or more of cocaine on June 21st, 2012. Applicant received a sentence of 10 years. Applicant is currently on supervised release until June of 2022. Therefore, he may be denied until June of 2027.
Mr. Hartzell, you understand why your application was denied? Yes, sir. Okay. Would you like to address the commission as to what basis you're making your appeal on, please? Yes. Just step a little closer to the microphone, if you would, please, sir. Thank you.
I was convicted, like he said, in 2012 from a conspiracy in 2006. But still and yet, I was doing wrong, so I got indicted in 2010, got convicted in 2012. I was serving a 10-year sentence, and through a process of appeal and a process of a different set of motions, I sent in to the judge, Eastern District of Tennessee, Judge Varlin. Judge Varlin deviated below the guidelines and resentenced me to less time than I had already done, which was he resentenced me out of 10 years, and I had already done 56. I got an immediate release on April the 25th of this year, and very humbling experience. I was a sales manager at a very prominent dealership before I left.
Did someone come with you from your dealership? Yes, sir. Would the other person may come forward, please? I'd like to address the commission on behalf of this applicant.
Yes, I sure would. My name is Todd Reed. I've been a manager in the automobile business for 17 years. Had the privilege of working with Mark. I don't like to say people that work for me, but worked with him side by side for at 2 different dealerships. And Mark is what we always have called him. That's what he goes by. Mark was an outstanding salesperson, not a guy going through the motions. He sold 25, 30 cars a month. He was a guy that the other salespeople looked up to, took care of his customers, always had good intestinal fortitude, was an honest person, never had any problems with him, was on time, a guy that always had a smile on his face, came into work, worked hard, and I was a sergeant in the Marine Corps before I got into the car business. I'm a pretty good judge of character. I wouldn't come down here. I've never come down here with anybody to try to get their sales license back. Mark is a guy who's had a long-standing marriage. He's a solid, founded guy. Everybody likes him. He doesn't have an enemy. But the most important thing about Mark is he deserves a chance at redemption. I believe everybody deserves a second chance. I know his work ethic. I'm there at the store. I'll be the one supervising him, and I don't have anything to say. But like I said, he's a guy who doesn't know anything but hard work.
Commission members, any questions for Mr. Hartzell or Mr. Reed? It was Commissioner Vaughn.
Hartzell, have you been in trouble prior to this or since this incident?
Questions?
I have a question. Were you,
Commissioner Norton, please.
Did you have any substance abuse problems? Were you a user or just a seller of drugs?
No, I was just part of the conspiracy. No, I've never used drugs in my life of any.
Questions, motions?
I'd like to make a motion that we grant the license.
Second.
A motion, Commissioner Vaughn, to grant the license, and seconded by Commissioner Norton. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, Chair calls for roll call vote, and yes will be to approve the motion to grant the license, and obviously no would be not to.
Chairman Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton, Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson, Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Tomaso,
Yes.
Commissioner Levy,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Mr. Hartzell.
Thank you. Thank you all. I won't let you down.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Paul Beard, Old Ben Franklin Motors. Mr. Beard, did someone come with you from Old Ben Franklin? Okay, all right. All right. Legal, could you describe the reason for the denial license?
Review of Mr. Beard's salesperson application and judgment does reveal a conviction for a crime involving moral turpitude. In the case of Mr. Beard, the documented conviction is for delivery and sale of cocaine in the amount greater than half a gram on March 28, 2012. Mr. Beard received a sentence of 6 years of probation. Mr. Beard is currently on probation until March of 2018. Therefore, his application may be denied until March of 2023.
Mr. Beard, would you like to address the commission as to what your like an automobile business if you were get a license?
Yes, sir. When I was in jail, I committed my mind to transformation. When I came out, I spent a year of my life in the inner city feeding young children 3 times a week, every week for an entire year. I went on from there to minister at Morgan County Penitentiaries. I minister with Celebrate Recovery. For the past 4 years, I have been a minister in the local churches in my community. I give back to my community financially, which I have records stating that. I work with several ministries, helping men to renew their minds, their patterns of thinking, as mine had to be renewed, because I had terrible patterns of destructive thinking. So I had to renew my mind. And once I learned how to do that, I started helping others to do the exact same thing, to bring them out of darkness into light, to get their head on right. And that's what I've dedicated my life to the past 4 years. I have letters of recommendation for the local financial contributions, if anybody would like to see that.
Did you want to say more, sir? Are you ready for questions? Okay. How did you come about applying at Old Ben Franklin Motors?
I come about applying.
Did you have a previous connection at Old Ben Franklin, or how did you?
Yes, sir.
Or were you recruited? How does that?
Yeah, I worked there. I worked there, I guess, several years ago for a period of time, and then I went into a cell tower industry. So I've been climbing cell towers for a while, and I wanted a job more local. And after church one night, I ran into one of the managers, Jamie Eady, and he asked me to come work at the dealership. So,
Would the representative from Old Ben Franklin Motors address the commission, please?
Sir.
And your name, sir?
My name is Doug Jenkins.
Jenkins, okay.
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead. Would you describe to the commission how you think this application should be approved?
Yeah, I actually knew Paul before, probably 7, 8 years ago, and I can say this, I didn't know him on a personal basis. Sometimes a 2.5-hour car ride will give you more information about a man than you get at a dealership for a long time. Listen to this guy's story. Kind of breaks me up. I apologize. He grew up without a dad figure, took every wrong direction that you could take as a young man growing through his life, got in trouble, obviously, and took that time to renew himself as a human being and as a person and doing the right things. You know, he's told me coming up here about, you know, he's renewed his mind in books. He said, I've got hundreds of books that I've read since this happened, trying to refrain and retrain my mind to be the person and the man that I need to be. He met his wife that he's married with now at the church that he goes to. You know, he lives the kind of life that I think all of us would hope to try to emulate. Very positive guy and a God-loving guy now. I can assure you that. You know, we were standing out there, and he's working in a detail shop, and it's 100 degrees. I went to see him. I said, how's it going back here? He said, man, it's tough to make a living out here. And he said, it's 100 degrees. And he looked up at the sky, and he said, you know, Lord, if this is your plan, I understand, but I've been humbled enough. I've been humbled enough. He said, hopefully we can get this worked out where I can go back to doing what I need to do to feed my family and to make a living. And hopefully you guys see it the same way.
What is your position at the dealership?
I am the operations manager at all of our stores.
How many stores do you have?
We've got 3 right now, and opening up another one in Maryville. Should be open in January.
Mostly dealer financing?
No, that's probably 15% of our business. You know, we probably do 85% financing with banks, and about 15% we do in-house financing ourselves and carry the note ourselves.
And how long have you been with Old Ben Franklin?
I was with Ted Russell Ford for 28 years. I was the general manager there at the Ford store for probably the last 20. Ted sold out in August. Most of y'all probably know Ted. I stayed with the new place 3 or 4 months, and I left 100% on my own accordance. They asked me to stay, and y'all know Ted. You got Ted's way, and you've got everybody else's way. You know, so I started working at Ted when I was 19, so I guess you could say I'm inbred to Ted's way, and I wasn't willing to change the way I thought we should do business on a daily basis. Terry Taylor's got their own form, so I left Ted's. Oh, golly bum, November, I want to say, of last year. And we used to own Old Ben Franklin Motors while Ted had it. And Mike Mincer, who opened it up day one, is a real good friend of mine. And we were opening up, you know, some other stores, and he needed some help. And he asked me to come, and I made about a 30-day thought process with my wife and went in there and told the guys at Ted that I was going to leave and pursue other venues. So that's kind of how I started, you know, my relationship with the
Mr.
Open
Mincer
side.
owns it now.
Pardon?
Mr. Mincer owns the...
Yeah, Mike Mincer owns it now. Ted sold to Mike 2 years ago as a promise that Ted withheld to Mike. Mike opened that store up like day one. And about 10 years ago, Ted had told him, said, you know, whenever I get ready to leave, Mike, you know, you were out on a tractor and a grader graveling this lot the day we opened it up. And he said, I'll let you have the lot when I go to retire or whatever. And so that's how Mike ended up with it.
And you're Mr. Jenkins?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions from commission members?
I've got a couple questions. For Mr. Beard. Was this the first time you were in trouble?
It's my first felony. I'd been out of life of not living right.
What about after this?
Oh, nothing at all. Absolutely nothing.
I have a question, Commissioner Norton. Have you been in any kind of substance abuse program since your incarceration?
Well, I work with Subway Recovery, but I speak as a speaker there. I don't have no substance abuse no more. I did at that point in my life, but once I came out, it was done. I just made up my mind and put the right word in my heart, and I changed. So.
Mr. Beard, could you kind of dive into more detail about how your work with the inner city youth kind of put you on the path to transformation, please?
Yeah. Well, I did drugs and sold drugs in the inner city. When I got out of jail, I started working with the ministry. And I was asked by another guy to start going into the inner city and feeding the children. We started off with just 3 or 4 pizzas, going in and sitting down, and just loving on the kids. And we took that ministry from 14 children to like 280 inner city kids. Just me and him. Grew it from there. It is still today very thriving in our city. We would go in, sit down with the children, and feed them. Now, from the perspective of what I used to do, that money that the parents would spend on drugs would come into my pocket. And I got to see it from a different perspective, seeing those young children not being able to eat. It to me and broke me in my heart. It never made me, I never want to be a part of that problem again. It broke me when I seen that from that perspective, seeing those young children who haven't eaten, just devour those pizzas, devour the love we were giving them, just hang on every word we had to say. And so, for an entire year, I didn't work. What I did is I committed myself, not by the state, by my own accord, to changing those children's lives. So I did that for 1 year, and I saw a lot of transformations in young kids, salvations, people's hearts healed. A lot of them are wounded and rejected and broken, and they just needed somebody to love them. Same thing in my life when I was a young man. But we was able to love those children and give back to the community in which we took from. So, and that ministry is still going on today. It's up to over 200-something children. So.
Mr. Beard, I'm fairly comfortable with your application, but I do have a concern I'd like to address with Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Jenkins, would you step up? What percentage of salespeople at Ben Franklin Motors have been former convicted felons? Do you know that?
Honestly, I've not been there long enough to dive into enough of that to know. I wouldn't know the answer to that.
The reason I asked that question, I said this to the representative from Ben Franklin Motors the last time they were here for a license appeal for a salesperson. You're probably at the top of the charts for license appeals of any dealer that we see. Now that's I'm using impressions, but it does stand out. I think one of the things that the commission considers, and it may be the dominant piece of license appeals that might be approved, are what kind of environment are these folks going to? And at your store, if you have a large number of former felons, what kind of culture do you have there, and what chance do those that have had struggles in the past have to make it and be productive? And I say that because most of the license appeals that we see, or at least I'm going to say a large number, if not most, would tell us that they got into trouble, that applicant got into trouble from the company that they keep. So if your business up there is heavily involved with former felons, can you keep track of all these folks? And what are your recruiting practices? Are you going down to the courthouse and getting people? And I don't mean to be belittling, but we just see this so frequently out of Ben Franklin Motors, old Ben Franklin Motors. Yeah. Would you please address that, sir?
Well, obviously, Ted had the store for the last 28 years prior to Mike. I can assure you this, that as me standing here, there's two things, I guess, that I've always been slow to tolerate. One's lazy people, and second would be drugs. So I'd like to think that we provide a stable environment. I personally will not, I've never ever, in my personal life, thank goodness, I've never ever taken a drug in my life. I've been really blessed. I had enough common sense not to, I guess, maybe. But I also have developed in the car business, even at Ted's, a strong distaste for those who do. Because A, it rips apart their families, it rips apart their work environment, and it rips apart the environment and culture at your dealership, and I agree with that. We've got one other gentleman that I'm aware of that works at our dealership that I know of right now. His name's Rasheed Bailey, that was also convicted.
Remember Mr. Bailey. Yeah.
If you see Mr. Bailey every single day, How are you doing, Rashid? Sir, I am blessed. I'm blessed to have a job. I'm blessed to be able to come into work today. I'm not complaining. You get that same answer every single time. If Mr. Rashid worked for me and had a different attitude regarding his prior self-evictions or whatever's got going on in his life, he would probably be back up here trying to get his salesman's license at another dealership. So I personally, that's not going to take place while I work there. Whether that's another year or another 20 years, if I feel like a person has got the character, to do the job and to do the job correctly and the right way, without lying or misleading customers, I don't have any reservations about giving a man a second chance. But once he's given that chance, the ball's in his court, and I'll fire you as quick as I'll hire you if you're not doing the right things.
Other questions?
Question, Commissioner Galvin for Mr. Beard. Two things. I see the passion that you have with ministry and helping the inner city kids and what you do. I see that. My question is the passion there for selling cars? Or is this just a job that you just need to make money and this is the quickest way to hopefully? I would like to see a passion of someone in the car business and really put their heart into it, sort of like you just did with the ministry. I can see that. But tell me, in your past, is this the right job for you?
Yes, I do believe it is. I believe I have developed a spirit of excellence. Whatever I put my mind to and heart to, I'll put all to that and do well. I worked for 3 weeks before my license was taken, and I sold 18 cars in 3 weeks. I'm the first one there, one of the last people to leave. I put my heart into it. I love the opportunity to work with the customer and develop relationships, actually, with the customers. I enjoyed that. I think it's an excellent opportunity for me to move forward financially in life, and I use those finances to bless my community as well. So, I want to put my whole heart into it. Whatever it is I do, if it's selling cars or if it's climbing cell phone towers, I want to do the best that I possibly can do and be excellent at it.
Last question is, will you continue to do the ministry with the inner city?
Yes, I will. I work with several other ministries as well. I will do that for the rest of my life. It's just what I love to do. I love seeing transformation in people. When he said I didn't have a father, so many people, just need somebody to love on them and be a father. So that's what I want to do. I try to adapt that fatherhood and impart that to the children. I want to do that for the rest of my life, if I can,
Questions?
I have one question, Mr. Beard. Is your probation, does it require employment?
Right, employment?
Employment, yes.
I'm not sure. Within the first 6 months after I was on probation, they said there's no need for me to be on visitation. They took me off of it. I'm only on phone call probation. My probation officer actually saw the work we were doing in the community and immediately took me off probation. I just call in once a month, so I don't know. I don't really talk to nobody anymore. So.
Further questions?
I'd like to make a motion
We have a motion.
that we grant the license.
Commissioner Jackson, seconded.
A motion, Commissioner Vaughn, grant the license, seconded by Commissioner Jackson. Discussion of the motion. Hearing no discussion, chair calls for a roll call vote. Yes would be for the motion to grant. No would be to not grant the license.
Chairman Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Tomaso,
Yes.
Commissioner Levy,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Mr. Beard. Yeah. Good luck with your career, sir. Okay. Chauncey Young from Ride Right, Memphis. Did I pronounce that correctly? Is it Chauncey? Yes, sir. Okay. Mr. Young? We're going to ask legal to describe the reasons for the applicant being turned down.
Review of Mr. Young's salesperson application and judgment does reveal a conviction for a crime involving moral turpitude. In the case of Mr. Young, the documented conviction is for attempted murder in the first degree on January 26, 2009. Applicant received a sentence of 10 years with the Tennessee Department of Corrections. Application may be denied until January of 2024.
Are you on probation now, sir?
No, sir. I actually served my time. I've done every single day of my time.
Oh, you finished your time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you. Would you describe to the commission your reasons for feeling that you should be granted a license and how you could become a productive person in our industry?
Actually, I want to kind of start from the beginning of like when I first got out of prison. Well, I got out of prison April Fool's Day of 2014. From that day all the way back to December 15th, 2006, I was incarcerated. I was indicted on second-degree criminal attempt murder 2009, January 26th. That's when I signed for my time, pleaded guilty, and began to serve my time in prison. After I got out of prison, and while I was in prison, I always stayed in tune or always was in programs to help rehabilitate myself. Anger management. I even took some things that didn't have anything to do with my charge, like substance abuse classes, self-help programs. And then I was part of a revival inside of the church and inside of the prison, which is here in Nashville, Charles Bass, Tennessee. Charles Bass Correctional Facility. And just being a part of that revival, that positive group of people helped change my life. They were always helpful, always nice, and always outspoken to help the people that definitely needed. Me, myself included, was the main person that I feel like needed the help from that revival. I was always there Monday through Friday. We perform and sing songs to the parts on Sundays right after church service. And that's when I knew that changing for the better was what I needed to do to better myself, my family, and my community as a whole. I went in prison, just one child. I got with my old girlfriend. She had 2 kids during my incarceration, but we got back together. So now I have a total of 5. Got 2 kids just born within 2 years, one last year and one 8 months ago. I've been working for Mr. Chris for like 2 years at Ride Right Memphis, the car dealership. I've been doing the detailing work there pretty much the whole time that he's been in business, and pretty much the whole time that I've been out of prison. I've grown to love Mr. Chris. He's grown to love me. He actually, honestly, I wouldn't be here today without his approval, honestly. I didn't see myself doing this. All I wanted to do is pretty much get a job to take care of my family, but do that job the right way and stay out of trouble and be productive in society. That's pretty much what I wanted to do, But he saw something in me that honestly, again, I didn't see in myself. Selling cars, car dealership, based off where I came from, dealing with people, that was kind of intimidating for me. I'm just going to be honest. But again, going back to in prison, being a part of a revival, and then running to Mr. Chris, I looked at it all as a God sign of a blessing for me. I've been around people, never was able to talk to them until I got a part of revival, until Mr. Chris hired me. And now I can just see myself being a great salesman potentially, you know, if I get granted to, because I've learned to talk to people and actually got a good vibe from people just from being the detailer, cleaning their cars real good. They were like, hey, Chauncey, that's a great job, man. And we'll just have a small conversation, and they might even go off into thinking, hey, man, be honest with me, man, what you think about that car over there? I was like, well, hey, it sure looks good right after I got through cleaning, but once you go inside and do the business side of it, hey, you'll understand from me, or you'll see from me that it do drive good, man. Just take my word for it, it drives good. Just based off that, a few people came in and asked Mr. Chris, hey, man, what's up with that guy there? He was like, oh, well, it's just my detailer. Well, I think he knows a little about cars because he just helped me purchase this vehicle from me. Kristen said a couple of times, oh, really? And again, honestly, I just thank God for this man, honestly. Because again, truly, if it wasn't for him, I mean, I don't even see this as a thought, actually, to be honest. But I would be more than happy to make the best of the ability, if granted, so I can take care of my family, my community.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Any questions from the commission for Mr. Young?
I have a few questions. Was this the first time you were in trouble?
Yeah, that was the first and only time, yes, ma'am.
Okay. What exactly happened?
Well, first it was a physical altercation. We, basically we got to fighting first.
You know this person?
Yes.
Okay.
We got to fighting actually, and it was basically over a woman, basically. And that fight led to threats by that person towards me. I didn't take it lightly, so I told him, hey, man, we can basically meet up to fight again, to get stuff off your chest if that's what you want to do. He was like, okay, but yet still when he came with a weapon. I was in my vehicle. I panicked, and he started shooting at me. I panicked, and next thing you know, I ran him over. Immediately after that, I went straight down to the precinct, not even a good hour after that. They didn't even want me in the precinct. They was like, why are you here? I was like, I just done something an hour ago. If you don't have the police report right now, you'll have it in the next hour or two. I sat there and sat there. They actually kind of belittled me for a second, laughing like, man, this guy crazy. He's here turning himself in and we have no charge on him. But sure enough, they got the facts. They got my picture. And I was like, all right, well, we ready to take you in. And I was like, appreciate you, because I wasn't going to go anywhere until you guys did. I took full responsibility of my actions from day one.
Okay. Further questions?
Commissioner Jackson, just want to hear a little bit from the owner of the dealership.
You're Mr. Chris?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Chris Buben.
Okay.
I own Ride Right Memphis. I started the business in April 2014, and Mr. Young, I think, was either my first or second employee that I hired. It was when I first met him, very quiet young man, and very, I never met him before that, but, seemed to be a good young man, so I hired him, talked to him a little bit. I did know he did tell me about his background, that he did just get out of prison. I hired him, told him he can wash cars for me, and from day one, he's been one of my best employees. He shows up early, he stays late, he does anything I ask him to do. Never has a complaint. Does a great job, and he does have, like I said, he has a family. He's engaged, planning on getting married. I'm growing business, so I'm going to hire some salespeople, and he would be the best person that I think I could fit in that position. I want to promote him, and I know I want him to be an employee for a long time with me because he's a very, very good employee. He's opened up the store. when I'm not there sometimes in the morning. I trust him 100%. Over the 2 years, I've had to fire at least a few people from stealing gas or batteries or this and that. Never had one problem with Mr. Young. I would trust him 100%. I know, with religion and just the way he views himself now, I know he will never, or I feel 100% he would never get in any trouble again. I think it was a heck of a lesson to learn. I think about that a lot. That serve 10 years in prison would probably, I guess, push you one way or the other. And I think he realized that he needed to change his life if he wants to live a productive life. I've had a lot of salespeople come and go. We're a small operation, relatively, but I've had a lot of salespeople come and go, like I said, and that I've had to fire for indiscretions and that kind of thing. And Mr. Young has never once done anything to make me think that he's anything but 100% and a solid guy, and that's why I really want to give him an opportunity.
And this question's for Mr. Young. How old were you when you committed this crime?
How old I was? I was 19.
Okay.
I think that although having a felony conviction, that the fact that Mr. Young turned himself in at the precinct speaks to his character. Mr. Newman, yes, spoke of his character as well. So
I'd like to make a motion that we grant the license.
Commissioner Jackson, seconded.
a motion to grant the license from Commissioner Vaughn, seconded by Commissioner Jackson. Any further discussion? Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Chair calls for a roll call vote. Yes will be to grant the license. No will be to not grant.
Chairman Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb?
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton? Commissioner Fox?
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson?
Yes.
Commissioner Murray?
Yes.
Commissioner Norton?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn?
Yes.
Commissioner Tomaso?
Yes.
Commissioner Levy? I'm sorry?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Well, congratulations. Good luck with your
Thank you,
career.
sir. I'd like to thank all the body of party in this building today.
Good luck, sir. Thanks, sir. Franklin Hughes. Ford Lincoln of Cookville. Morning, sir. Did you bring somebody from the store with you? You want to come up too, sir? And
Sir, how are you? I'm Mike Petrello. I'm the dealer.
we'll be right with you, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, let's have a description of the reason for the denial of the application, please.
Review of Mr. Hughes' salesperson application and judgments do reveal a conviction for a crime involving moral turpitude. In the case of Mr. Hughes, the documented conviction is for sale of a Schedule 6 substance on March 20. The applicant received a sentence of 2 years supervised probation, which ended March 27th of 2016. Application may be denied until March of 2021. On 2014. I think I might have misspoke on that.
Mr. Hughes, would you like to speak to the commission about why you feel like we should grant you a license?
Well, I just love selling cars. When I was 12 years old, my dad bought me my first car, and I've loved cars ever since. I used to sell them on.
You would, sir, lean a little closer to the microphone.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
I just love selling cars. I love everything about cars. When I was 12 years old, my dad bought me my first car, and I kind of just really got into cars then, working on them, fixing them, selling them on Craigslist, trying to upgrade my cars every year. I got a job at Hyundai last year, and at the beginning, it was last year, and I was in sales for a little while. Then when my license came back revoked, they put me as a delivery specialist, just dealing with the customer service, and I led our CSI scores higher than they'd ever been. I kept a 990 out of 1,000 average, the best the store had ever seen in 6 years. So, I do really good with customers, and I absolutely love selling cars.
Questions from the commission?
I have a question.
Commissioner Norton?
Have you ever been in trouble at all before besides this particular instance?
No, sir.
And
A user.
are you currently or have you been in any kind of recovery program?
No, sir. I wasn't, addicted or anything. I was on probation, passed all my drug tests, and, they didn't feel a need for anything like that.
And you were not a user.
Questions? Okay.
Sorry.
I heard the first name, sir. I didn't hear the last. Mike Petrelli, would you like to address the commission?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you'll come to the microphone right there, Mr. Petrelli.
I don't have to do this very often. We keep a very strong, good culture. We don't have a lot of turnover at our store. When somebody's young and you have not always the best decision making in the world, there's opportunities that are out there that you don't get to always make in the right frame of mind. And I think it was a case for when he was younger. In the 18s and 19s, I think that most people have done all something that they might regret or don't want to be, and I don't want to be the person to hold him back from succeeding and doing well. We have a good crew and a good enough culture where somebody like him can do very well and get on the right path for a long time. This and 2 years ago for him will seem like an eternity when everything's going right for him. So he's up to bat for and think we'll do a good job for us.
Questions for Mr. Petrelli?
I have one question. Do you have any kind of drug testing program, or do you have any knowledge that he's been clean or passed any drug tests?
Yes, sir. In order to qualify for insurance and also in order to get actually hired at the store, we do go through a drug testing. And then also anytime we have issues or meaning workers' comp, somebody that's in an accident, which obviously in this case that's not been the case, but anytime that something arises, that's the first thing that we do at the dealership is actually drug tests. So.
Questions?
I have some questions for Mr. Hughes.
Mr. Hughes.
So this was the only time that you'd been in trouble?
Yes.
Are you still hanging out with the same people you were back then?
No, most of them are in jail or dead. So, it was just I just that fresh out of high school. I was 18 years old, and I just kind of made a dumb mistake, and I'd like to move forward with my life and be on the right path with a real career and actually establish myself and make something of myself.
Questions? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Make a motion that we grant the license.
I'll second it.
On makes a motion to grant the license. It was seconded by Commissioner McNabb. Discussion of the motion? Hearing none, chair calls for roll call vote. Yes would be for the motion to grant. No would be to deny. Oppose denial.
Chairman Roberts.
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb.
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton. Commissioner Fox.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Murray.
Yes.
Commissioner Norton.
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Yes.
Commissioner Tomaso.
Yes.
Commissioner Levy.
Yes.
Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Mr. Hughes.
Thank you guys very much.
Good luck with your career. Jeremy Trout, Miracle Ford. Anybody need a break? We all good? Sorry?
After the sales licenses, maybe?
Okay.
Chairman Roberts.
Yes.
Due to the nature of Jeremy used to work for me, I like to be accused of this.
Thank you, Commissioner Galvin. Granted. You want to join the audience for this, or do you want to just you can remain there if you don't comment in that case?
That's fine. If you need me to be in the audience, I can do that, or here. It doesn't make any difference.
By recusing, you also don't make comments.
That is correct.
Okay, correct. Okay. Mr. Reddish, would you describe the applicant's denial?
Review Mr. Trout's salesperson application and judgments do reveal a conviction for a crime involving moral turpitude. In the case of Mr. Trout, the documented conviction is for theft of property between $1,000 and $10,000 on August 13th, 2015. Mr. Trout received a sentence of 2 years probation, for which he is still currently serving until August 13th, 2017. Application may be denied until August of 2022.
Mr. Trout, what did you steal?
Trailer, sir. A trailer, utility trailer. I was, it was actually March 3rd to a year ago, this past March.
The mic, just a little bit, sir.
Hello? Okay.
Yeah, you're good. You stole a utility trailer?
Yes, sir. I was a landscaper. It was the middle of winter. I've got 2 kids. My wife, she's always been a stay-at-home mom. I ain't gonna lie, I had a cocaine addiction, which I've been in credit recovery, some other programs. I hit rock bottom in life, really did. Behind on one house payment, which was the first time I've ever been behind on a house payment. It was an easy target. I'm not a thief. It was the first time I've ever been in trouble. I can expunge it as soon as I'm off probation, as long as I've done everything for my probation officer, did everything he's asked. I'm still working on community service, but I've got a program I'm doing that with. Pretty much, like I said, hit rock bottom. It happened. It was a blessing in disguise, because if it would have kept going the way I was going, I probably wouldn't be here today. I'd probably be 6 foot under. So I've always grew up in a Christian home. Definitely have faith. I love, which I know Mr. Gravel can't talk, but I was always the first one to the dealership most of the time. I sold 15 cars within 3 weeks. Loved it. New to the business. I'm a people person. Really never met a stranger. I really do love it. And then when it came back denied, it crushed me. I mean, I left there in tears. I've never woke up so excited to go to a job. And I want that back. My marriage was the best ever. My kids were happy, even though they didn't see me all the time, but, I wasn't out doing something stupid. So.
Who did you take the trailer from, sir? Did you know the person that you took the trailer from?
No, sir. No, sir. And like I said, it was a day later. As soon as I got a phone call that the cops were at the house, I walked there and threw my hands up and said, "This is what I did. This is why I did it." I didn't lie to them. Didn't beat around the bush. Nothing like that. And like I said, it definitely was an eye opener. And I'm not that person, and I don't ever want to be that person again. I've been clean since the day I got caught. Was, like I said, March 3rd, and this past March 3rd was a year, so I've been clean for a year, year and a half.
Questions from the commission? Mr. Vaughn?
Did you make restitution, or did they get their trailer back?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it wasn't damaged. I mean, like I said, it was the next day. It was right down the road. I mean, the state of mind, being on cocaine, you're not in the best state of mind. But I knew I was going to get caught. I mean, maybe not at that particular time, but I didn't sleep that night. I woke up, went to work, came back, or I got a phone call, "Hey, why is Gallatin PD at your house?" And I said, "I know why." And so I drove straight there. I go to church with the officer that arrested me. That's now a mission. He's actually on a mission trip right now. We talk every week. I mean, we even go out to lunch, and he's been a role model since then to me.
Are you attending any substance abuse, like AA type thing, or?
Credit recovery at our church.
Okay.
Yeah. Or Celebrate Recovery.
Commissioner Norton.
Question: what are you doing for a living now?
I still do landscaping now.
And in this recovery program you just spoke about, what kind of recovery? Tell us what's involved in that, and what makes you think it's going to work?
It's Christian-based. Like I said, I haven't used since I got caught. I was at a very low point in life then, and realized from where I came from to where I went and now to where I'm at, that middle part of life I don't want to be at again. The credit recovery is Celebrate Recovery is every week. It's on Sunday night. We go there from 7 to 9. It's praise and worship. You get in a group of guys. The girls have their own group. You get around, talk, and it's a big help. You get to go in. Even now, it's not a problem. I don't crave it or nothing like that. But it's awesome going in there and telling your story to people that are freshly got out of it, got clean and helped them along. So.
Questions? I'm sorry.
Are you subject to any ongoing testing obligations right now?
Yes, sir. As in drug testing? Oh, yeah. They can call me at any moment from probation. I'm on unsupervised now as of a couple months ago, but they've showed up at my house unexpectedly. They've called me in, hey, you got to come in today or tomorrow, take a drug test. I go straight there and do it. They don't do it. It's not like it's every week or nothing, but they can't give me a heads up or nothing like that,
Questions?
Anyone here from the dealership with you?
Mr. Baker was supposed to come with me. I didn't realize he actually took a job with Newton Ford and Chevy in Clarksville, I think it is. So once I heard that, this was this past Friday, and I tried talking to another manager, and through text messages and trying to call him, it kind of got misunderstood. So I'm here solo.
Make a motion that we would grant his license.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Fox to grant the license, seconded by Commissioner Vaughn. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, Chair calls for a roll call vote. Yes is in favor of the motion to grant, and no, of course, is to uphold the denial. Ms. Shaw.
Chairman Roberts.
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb.
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton. Commissioner Fox.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Murray.
Yes.
Commissioner Norton.
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Yes.
Commissioner Tomaso.
Yes.
Commissioner Levy. And Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Trout, welcome back to the car business.
Y'all just answered a big prayer for me. I appreciate it.
I have a quick question for
Yes.
Mr. Trout. What dealership are you going to be working at?
I'm hoping I'm going back to Miracle Ford. I'm not currently hired there, but that's where I'm going to right now as soon as I leave.
Now, your license to be effective will have to be listed with a dealership. That's what the point Mr. Reddish is making. So
That's fine. So what do I need to do? What are we talking about here?
the application.
Oh, it's going to
Make
be.
sure that the dealership on the applications where you're intending
Oh,
to work.
yes. That's where I'm. Yes. Mr. Summer texted me back, and I said, if this all goes through, I still have a job. And he
Good luck, sir. Thank you. Carlos Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez. Good morning, sir. Reddish, may we have a description of the rejection of the application?
Review of Mr. Gonzalez's salesperson application and judgment does reveal a conviction for a crime involving moral turpitude. In the case of Mr. Gonzalez, the documented conviction is for conspiracy to deliver over 300 pounds of marijuana on January 12, 2004. Mr. Gonzalez received a sentence of 8 years. Application may be denied until January of 2017.
2017.
17.
Mr. Gonzalez, how large is 300 pounds of marijuana? Is that like a bale of hay or something?
Bags.
I'm sorry?
3 bags.
Okay, all right. Would you address the commission as to why you think we should consider your license appeal?
Well, after 2002, April 17, that's the last time that I got in trouble, and went to jail and finished jail. Went to programs and everything about it goes DCOC, I believe. It was in 2004 or 5 when I went to programs. Did for 6 months. After that, finished everything and got married. And since 2002, I left everything. I don't do drugs no more. I don't sell drugs no more. I never use it, but I don't sell drugs no more.
since April 17, 2002.
Questions from the commission for Mr. Gonzalez?
I have a question.
Commissioner Vaughn?
Have you been in trouble since that
No,
time? That's all.
This is just about selling drugs, or as I see other stuff on there, intent to cause great bodily harm, reckless or malice. What is that involved
Which
in?
one?
Intent to cause bodily harm.
What's that?
That's what I'm reading here. It's what it says. Counselor, you got anything on that?
One moment.
Looking for a description of the felony and any other parts of it that we don't have.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Gonzalez has appeared before us before, and I'd like for him to speak to that. I know that he was here at a previous meeting.
Mr. Commissioner, I think why those weren't listed on there is because the sentence ended and the 5 years has passed. So he was sentenced to 8 years for the conspiracy on marijuana, but I see, for example, money laundering, he received 6 years in 2004. That would have ended in 2010. It's 2016 now, so we can't really base a denial.
When was the marijuana sale conviction? Was that 2014? What was that date?
Marijuana sales, it was in 2002, April 17.
I'm not looking at the notes here, so I'm going to ask questions. And I think what Commissioner Norton is trying to get to is that in 2002 you had a conviction for marijuana. Then in 2004 there's another conviction.
It's the same one. They take in 2002. I got charged with marijuana, conspiracy, launder money. So everything finished on 2004. So I went to talk to the judge, Blackburn, about this when I came a couple months ago, and she said it was no problem. They bring the proof from court, so it was everything finished.
It shows everything on the judgment of, it says January 12th, 2004 on all of them. So it does show that.
So there's not a second incident.
No, it was
I think that's what we were trying to get to. Okay. To Ms. Shaw's point, have you made an appeal before? Is this your second time to appeal for a license? When were you last here, sir? Do you remember?
I think it was when I was working at ENS Auto Sales. We did the first one, and then I got denied. I worked for ENS for 5 years. I was doing customer service, and after that I went to sales cars.
You're applying with a different dealership this
Yes.
time. Okay.
Tennessee Auto Sales.
Can we hear from the gentleman here
Yes,
that
that one.
would be your employer? Would be
Yes.
your employer, or is Mr. Gonzalez currently working for you? Yes. Okay. All right. Would you give us your name and speak to this?
My name is Armand Hassiri with Tennessee Auto Sales, and Mr. Carlos here been working for me for five months right now. I've got him on collections, payments, calling customers. Haven't had any problems with him. He comes on time, leaves on time. He's got 3 beautiful children, been married. I think that he is changing his life. He has changed his life since that incident. And as far as money-wise goes, I haven't had any problem with him. He's on time. He's a perfect employee.
Question, Commissioner Galvin.
Mr. Galvin, question.
You say he worked for you for 5 months.
Yes, sir.
To me, 5 months is not really a long time to get to know an individual, and I know you're trying to represent him, but I'm just curious why you want him to be at your store and why you think he's that valuable in a 5-month period.
Well, so far, I've trusted him with money, and nothing went missing. He's there on time. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's a pretty good employee. But you're right. I mean, it's been 5 months. I don't know him on personal basis, but at work, he's a good employee.
Would Mr. Gonzalez be handling any cash?
Sorry?
Would Mr. Gonzalez be handling any cash at your operation?
Yes, sir.
He would handle cash.
Yeah, he would take payments in cash and deposit to our safe.
Know that he has a conviction for money laundering, and then he's going to handle cash at your dealership if he gets granted a license.
You indicated is he already currently handling cash in his current position?
Yes, he is.
Already handling cash. Yeah. But he had a conviction, Mr. Gonzalez had a conviction for money laundering. So he's going to be handling cash again.
But was the money laundering related to the sale of drugs? What was the difference?
When I was in trouble, the money that I was when I was selling the drugs, all the money I was putting into a mechanic shop back in the days.
You weren't stealing money from anyone. Okay. Yeah.
Laundering money, it don't mean that you're going to steal money. You know, I know that it's you use it for your businesses.
Commissioner Jackson, let me make sure I understand that what they said is, I mean, what the court's ruling was that due to the fact that you were selling the drugs and you had a mechanic shop, and they tied that in with buying that mechanic shop, you used drug money to purchase that mechanic shop, and they called it money laundering, so to speak. Gotcha.
Another question, Commissioner Galvin. You said you worked for E&S for 5 years. Is that
Yes.
correct? Were you denied at the time you worked for E&S? Were you here at the time?
Yeah, we apply. Brian, the owner, sent the application, and we got denied. So, at first, work at the dealership, I don't know that we need a license, And I was selling cars. I started my first month when I worked with them. It was 15 cars.
My question is this: if the owner came with you at ES to try to get your license, how come you're not still there? If he valued you so much to get a license, and now you left, and now you're working
I left
at Tennessee
because
Auto.
I opened my own business later. I saved money, and it was not drug related. Right, I've been off since 2002. I saved money. I opened my own business, and after that, I sold it. And I used to work at the radio station too. I was on dealership and also radio station. So after I sold my business, I was on E&S, sold my business, and then left E&S, and I was on my business for 2 years. After that, I sold it, and I was looking for a job. I went to apply for E&S, and E&S told me, give me 2 weeks, let me talk to my father, because we're going to hire an extra one. So I went and talked to Armand, and Armand said, hey, you know what? Welcome on board. I need a person.
How many jobs have you applied prior to getting employment with?
This is my second dealership.
But you said you went out and tried to get a bunch of other jobs before you became...
I went to apply to different dealerships, but they was not hiring. So I called, he posted an ad on Craigslist. I called him, he said, hey, let me talk to you. Come to my office. Went to his office, and the same day he told me he'd come back, I'll see you Monday. So I was there Monday.
Mr. Reddish, he would be eligible for a license January of 17.
That's correct.
Anything else on his application other than the felony that would, is his application in order, and anything else on the
Assuming everything else in the application is truthful, looks like he filled out the application completely, and doesn't appear he's tried to hide any convictions or anything like that.
What type of business did you develop?
It was a newspaper, but it's not that strong, right now with the Hispanic community. I was trying to do a newspaper and a magazine. So I left the business and, come back to the dealership. Always been on sales.
Commissioner Jackson, I motion that we grant him the license.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Jackson, to grant the license, seconded by Commissioner Vaughn. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, Chair calls for roll call vote. Yes for the motion would grant the license. No would uphold the denial.
Chairman Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
No.
Commissioner Clayton, Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
No.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Tomaso,
Yes.
Commissioner Levy,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Mr. Gonzalez, and good luck with
Thanks.
your career.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Those are all the cases. Do we need that break now? We need that timeout, 10 minutes. Thank you.
I'm like,
Do I go?
Commissioners in place. Okay, 10:25, we reconvene the Motor Vehicle Commission meeting. Director's report, Ms. Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This report will cover the period of time since the last commission meeting on April 25th, 2016. Since that time, the following activities have occurred. 59 dealers have opened or relocated. Activity licenses as of July 7th, 2016, we have 3,722 active dealers, applications in process 30, salesperson application in process 176, distributors, manufacturers 131, auctions 32, representatives 573, salespeople 16,280, dismantler recyclers 273, RV dealers 28, RV manufacturers 59. One car show permit was issued on April 25th, 2016. Complaint report April 25, 2016 to present. Number of complaints open 141. Number of complaints closed 174. The annual sales report that was due February 15th, the vehicles sold reported in 2015 was 1,294,979. Recreational vehicles reported sold in 2015, 3,660. That is excluding any dealers that may have reported late on their annual sales reports. The listing of the annual sales report and eligibility for dealer tags was sent to the county clerks on April 19, 2016. $30,000 was collected on a NIMBITAS fee, which is a result of a legislative action that passed last year that actually is forwarded or transferred to the Department of Revenue for the creation of a database for the reporting of parts at dismantlers and salvage yards to help track salvage histories on vehicles and stolen vehicles. So $30,000 was collected from the dismantling community and to be transferred over out of our budget to Department of Revenue for that system. The disciplinary action report from January to March, there was a total of $118,224 collected. In this period of time, we have also worked with the Department of Revenue on the new point of sale temporary tag system, and we have a handout available on that. Just for your information, I think we have at last count, there's a participant of about 34 dealers in the state of Tennessee that are currently involved in this point-of-sale temporary tag program. We have had several members of the commission involved, and the dealers, I think Chairman Roberts and Commissioner Trickett have been involved, and there's one other individual I think that's a member of the commission that has been involved as well. But it is catching on. They are rolling that system out incrementally. It hasn't widely been publicized because they are bringing them on a little at a time so that it doesn't overwhelm their rollout ability, and it's letting them check the robustness of their system capability. But so far it's going very well. We have trained the investigative staff. We had the vendor from the company appear before at the training earlier this month and display how the system actually works. And we will, the field investigators and inspectors will have the capability to access the electronic records of electronically issued temporary tags on their iPads in the field, which will be a great improvement in that area. So the document you have, for any of you who may be interested or may know someone who's interested, I think the contact information is on there, so feel free to reach out. I know some of you will want to do that. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
I'd like to add a comment about the new temp tag system. It works very well at our dealerships. We have it in 3 of our family stores, and I recommend it to anyone that would.
Question I see on here, that it records the lien. Is that suffice as a temporary lien, the 6-month lien, temporary? Does anybody know?
Actually, the lien process, are you talking about a temporary lien while you're pending, which you typically are going through the Secretary of State's office now to do, the temporary noting of lien? That would be, I don't know that they have that function worked out at this point in time, and we will continue to monitor that information with Department of Revenue and share that with the Commission as the system evolves. I know they are currently working to completely redesign all of the title and registration systems. This is one component of the entire system. The temporary lien system goes through the Secretary of State versus the Department of Revenue, so I don't know if they have an interface. I don't know if that has actually been worked out, but I will monitor that and let you know as that develops.
I think the temporary lien is actually still on a separate.
Separate thing, yeah. Is the tag costs remain the same?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's good.
Any more questions for the director? If there are no questions, is there a motion to approve the director's report?
Mr. Jackson, motion to adopt the director's report.
Second. Jackson, motion, and who seconded? McNabb? Commissioner McNabb. No discussion of the motion. By voice vote, those that for the motion to approve the director's report will say aye, and those opposed say no, of course. Okay, those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, Ms. Shaw.
Thank you.
Let me get to Mr. Reddish, legal report.
We made 2 modifications to the legal report in committee this morning. The first being entry number 35. Those second 2 cases that are listed as duplicate on the report, we're actually striking those 2 from number 35. They've been replaced on the supplemental report. And on the supplemental report, we are placing numbers before the entries. They'll be numbered 1 through 5. We missed doing that yesterday when we created this supplemental report. And one other modification we need to make is on entry number 117. The recommendation got deleted out of the report, but under number 117, my recommendation is to accept a voluntary revocation in lieu of civil penalty. I need a motion to modify the legal report to include that.
Also on Commissioner Jackson, also on number 69, I think was Commissioner Norton rescued himself from that particular case.
Yes.
Okay. With that said and done, I motion that we adopt the legal review report.
I think we need to amend number 117 first.
With the amendment of number 117. You want me to read the case number? 201-5011271.
Second.
Second. Motion, Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Vaughn. Hearing no discussion of the motion, those in favor of approving the legal report, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say no. Motion carries. No legislative updates, and then...
I actually did have one thing I want to cover on legislative updates. We've been asked to ask our commissions if you have any legislative proposals you'd like us to try to work on, any changes to statutes or new statutes, anything along those lines. So I just wanted to give everybody a chance. I want to propose that we need to take to our liaisons.
Approve that report. Rule proposals.
All right, we have both an emergency rule and a new proposed rule, and they have the exact same language. And what we have is when we, on the last legislative update, I advised you of the Tennessee Recreational Vehicle Franchise Act, I believe it's called, basically, where we the statute or the bill removed recreational vehicles from the definition of motor vehicles and created a new licensing scheme. Their intention was for to have the same fees that we currently have, $400 for the dealer, and to basically keep the same framework we currently have with some small, or I should say small, with some alterations to how some specific things between RV dealers and manufacturers are handled. And so the first thing we need is on the emergency rule. The reason we need the emergency rule is to get the fee approved because the bill takes effect January 1, 2017. And so the emergency rule will allow us to charge the $400 fee at that time for a recreational vehicle dealer license. And the remaining changes to all of these rules, basically all the consumer protection and all the requirements and standards that we currently apply to motor vehicle dealers will also be applied to recreational vehicle dealers. So if you look through the rules, you'll just see that we simply added or recreational vehicle next to where it said motor vehicle dealer. And so first we'll need to approve the emergency rules, and then after that we will have the proposed rules, which will take, the emergency rules are good for 6 months. It's kind of just a stopgap. Then the proposed rules, those will go through the whole process. We'll have to go through the AG and the governor's office, be posted to the Secretary of State. And then so once those proposed rules are completed, those will become final. So the emergency rules are just to cover the commission until those become effective.
Those rules will go to Rules Committee first.
No, I'm going to ask that the commission, the full commission, approve them today so that we can get started on that as quickly as possible. We need to have these posted with the Secretary of State by September in order for them to become effective January 1. So we have a really tight.
The proposed rules as well?
That's correct.
Okay.
So the way fees work is if the fees aren't approved by July, I believe it's July 1, tell me if I'm wrong, they can't become effective until the following July. So even if we approved the fees and had them posted and effective by January 1, we would have 6 or 7 months where we couldn't charge a dealer license fee at application.
Yeah, the specifics, the gist of the reason for the emergency rules, kind of as Matt was alluding to, is that there's a special caption under Tennessee law for rules that create fees or increase fees, and basically says that if you're going to create or increase fees, those have to be filed 90 days prior to July 1 of the next year. So if they're not filed by April 1 of 2017, they won't be effective on July 1, 2017. And the reason is that any new fees or increase of fees will not become effective until July 1 of the following year. Point blank period. That's what Tennessee law says. So if you all wanted to, so when the legislature creates a new licensing scheme and says create a fee and it becomes effective January 1, 2017, the only way that we can have these fees actually apply on January 1, 2017 is to do it by emergency rule, because emergency rule is an exception to one I just previously stated. And also, according to that whole scheme, the proposed rules, once they become adopted, that we're replacing emergency rules doesn't have to wait until July 1 of 2017 in order to become effective. So it's slightly confusing as to how all of that works. And that's why we brought to you all emergency rules on this subject, and then also proposed rules. Because your meeting times are generally quarterly, it would be very difficult to, it would not actually be possible if we waited until the October 1 time frame in order to adopt these rules and have them filed in time, meaning that we would potentially have these emergency rules fall short and not actually have a licensing fee before the proposed rules would become effective. But if you look through the packet that of the rules that we've proposed, all is, as Matt explained, it basically says the same fee that we were charging people who sell recreational vehicle dealers now. It's going to be the same fee January 1. And by the way, if you already paid your $400 for your 2-year license, you don't have to pay another $400 on January 1. You're going to be prorated for the entire length of time. So far as those recreational vehicle dealers, they're not going to feel anything different. They're just going to have, instead of a motor vehicle dealer license, it's going to be a recreational vehicle dealer license on January 1. And the other rest of the rules were, Matt indicated, we inserted, or recreational vehicles, basically just by rule creates the same licensing applications and rules for these recreational vehicle dealers as we do for motor vehicle dealers.
Questions? What I'd like to do is ask the staff to word this, word a motion that it would like for us to adopt.
That's correct. We'll also need to approve an economic impact statement, regulatory flex. Everything will need to be done through roll call vote also.
It sounds like we need 3 motions. So first, a motion to approve the emergency rule, then a motion to approve the proposed rule, and then third, a motion to approve the fees and regulatory flex questions.
I believe we need to approve the reg flex questions first, right, Tony?
Emergency rules don't have
before
any
the
questions.
proposed.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can do emergency rules, and then emergency rules first, and then we can look at the economic impact statement and the regulatory flexibility analysis of the proposed rules and approve that, and then the proposed rules. So yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the emergency rules as proposed by staff.
Second.
Commissioner Levy makes a motion to approve, and Commissioner Vaughn seconds. Any questions or discussions? Ms. Shaw, roll call vote, please.
Chairman Roberts.
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb.
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton.
Yes.
Commissioner Fox.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Murray.
Yes.
Commissioner Norton.
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Yes.
Commissioner Tomaso.
Yes.
Commissioner Levy.
Yes.
Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Levy, while you're on a roll, would you like to continue?
I think, do I need to read the reg flex? All right, I'm just going to read the reg flex before we motion to adopt it. The extent to which the rules may overlap, duplicate, or conflict with other federal, state, and local government rules. Answer, there will be no overlap, duplication, or conflict with federal, state, or local government rules. Question 2, clarity, conciseness, and lack of ambiguity in the rules. Answer, the rules are clear and concise. Further, the rules are not open to different interpretations. Question 3, the establishment of flexible compliance and or reporting requirements for small businesses. Answer, these rules do not create any new compliance and or reporting requirements. The rules allow for the same reasonable and flexible standards and fees that are currently applied to recreational vehicle dealers. Question 4, the establishment of friendly schedules or deadlines for compliance and reporting requirements for small businesses. Answer, these rules apply the same standards and fees that are currently applied to all recreational vehicle dealers. The rules have language protecting these current dealers from having to pay for a dealer's license again until the current license expires. As such, friendlier schedules based on business size are not feasible. Question 5, consolidation or simplification of compliance or reporting requirements for small businesses. Answer: these rules simplify compliance for recreational vehicle dealers because without these amendments, there would be a large amount of confusion regarding which, if any, of the current rules apply to recreational vehicle dealers following the implementation of the Tennessee Recreational Vehicle Franchise Act. Question 6. The establishment of performance standards for small businesses as opposed to design or operation standards required in the proposed rule. Answer: these rules simplify compliance for all recreational vehicle dealers. Different standards for small businesses would not be feasible. Question 7. The unnecessary creation of entry barriers or other effects that stifle entrepreneurial activity, curb innovation, or increase costs. Answer: these rules do not result in unnecessary creation of entry barriers or other effects that will stifle entrepreneurial activity, curb innovation, or increase costs.
Make a motion to approve the proposed dealer fees regulatory flex questions.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Levy, seconded by Commissioner Vaughn. Questions? Comments? Roll call vote.
Chairman Roberts.
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb.
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton. Commissioner Fox.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Murray.
Yes.
Commissioner Norton.
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Yes.
Commissioner Tomaso.
Yes.
Commissioner Levy.
Yes.
Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, on the proposed rule, I'm going to read the regulatory flexibility addendum and the economic impact statement. Pursuant to TCA Section 4-5-401 through 4-5-404, prior to initiating the rulemaking process, all agencies shall conduct a review of whether a proposed rule or rule affects small businesses. Question 1. The type or types of small business and an identification and estimate of the number of small businesses subject to the proposed rule that would bear the cost of or directly benefit from the proposed rule. Answer: this rule would only have an effect on current licensed motor vehicle dealers that sell new recreational vehicles. There are approximately 28 licensed recreational vehicle dealers in Tennessee. Using the guidelines set by the Governor's Office of Diversity Business Enterprise, a small business is considered one that has total gross receipts of no more than $10 million, average over a 3-year period, or employs no more than 99 persons on a full-time basis. Given this definition, it is believed that the vast majority of recreational vehicle dealers in Tennessee would qualify as small businesses. An additional cost is not associated with these rules. The legislation through 2016 PC 781 requires current licensed motor vehicle dealers who sell recreational vehicles to obtain a distinctly named recreational vehicle dealer license to sell what is newly defined as recreational vehicles, separate from motor vehicles. Question 2. The projected reporting, record keeping, and other administrative costs required for compliance with the proposed rule, including the type of professional skill necessary for preparation of the report or record. Answer: the rule is not expected to have any substantial reporting, record keeping, or other administrative costs because all of these rules are currently in place against these recreational vehicle dealers who currently hold a motor vehicle dealer license. Question 3. A statement of the probable effect on impacted small businesses and consumers. Answer: small businesses will see no probable effect because the compliance impact will be net neutral. These amendments to the dealer license will provide consumers with all the same protections they receive against motor vehicle dealers. Question 4. A description of any less burdensome, less intrusive, or less costly alternative method of achieving the purpose and objective of the proposed rules that may exist, and to what extent the alternative means might be less burdensome to small businesses. Answer: the Commission believes that this change is not burdensome, intrusive, or costly, and, as such, there do not appear to be any alternatives that would reasonably be expected to be less burdensome. Question 5. A comparison of the proposed rule with any federal or state counterparts. States such as Florida, Arkansas, Georgia, and Kentucky have separate licensing schemes between recreational vehicle dealers and motor vehicle dealers. There are no known federal counterparts to these rules. Question 6. Analysis of the effect of the proposed exemption of small businesses from all or any part of the requirements contained in the proposed rule. Answer: exemption from these rules would not be expected to be beneficial for small businesses because these rules set the requirements in order to obtain the new license created by the legislature under 2016 PC 781. Such new license requires a fee. However, that fee is the same as previously paid by all motor vehicle dealers of $400. Further, this set of rules provides for a prorated fee for all currently licensed motor vehicle dealers who acquire a recreational vehicle dealer license on January 1, 2017, other than those who sell both motor vehicles and recreational vehicles. Impact on local governments. Pursuant to TCA 4-5-220 and 4-5-228, any rule proposed to be promulgated shall state in a simple declarative sentence without additional comments on the merits of the policy of the rules or regulations, whether the rule or regulation may have a projected impact on local government. This rule will not have a projected impact on local governments.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Levy, seconded by Commissioner Vaughn. Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Roberts, quick
yes.
question. Could you just educate me? What's the code definition of a recreational vehicle?
I can find it. If you give me just a few minutes, I'll find it.
Give you the technical explanation, but
Or you can just email me.
I will. Okay, I can do that. I can paraphrase, but you asked for the code definition. I'd have to pull it up. I wouldn't want to get a word wrong.
I'll take the layman's definition.
Okay,
then.
so a recreational vehicle dealer is somebody who is in the business of buying and selling recreational vehicles in the state of Tennessee. A recreational vehicle itself are those vehicles that we generally consider to be travel trailers, pop-ups, motorhomes. Did I forget one?
The previous definition of a motor vehicle in the state of Tennessee was motorized, titled, self-propelled, and driven upon the roadway. A few years back, when they included RVs, they also expanded the RV dealer to include, you would not have to be motorized. You would have to have living quarters in a unit. So if you have a unit of what he would say travel trailer or an recreational vehicle, even though it's not motorized, if it has living quarters, then it could fall under that definition. I think there are also some length requirements that are specific in the statute, but that's the basic difference.
Questions? Are there motions out there? A motion out there? Oh, you already made a motion.
Yeah,
I'm
motion
sorry.
by
Excuse
Levy,
me.
seconded
It was
by
seconded by
Vaughn.
Commissioner Vaughn. Okay. No more discussion heard. We'll have a roll call vote.
Chairman Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb?
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton? Yes. Commissioner Fox?
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson? Yes. Commissioner Murray? Yes. Commissioner Norton?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn?
Yes.
Commissioner Tomaso?
Yes.
Commissioner Levy?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
I'll summarize and read if necessary. Did everybody get a copy of this document, IA? I'll explain this. This was sent to Matt, I guess, earlier last week, and I wanted to give you just kind of just give you information about this and just kind of give you some context for this letter. This letter is a letter that came from Insurance Auto Auctions. From one of their governmental affairs persons, which is a comment to a current rule that you all have that is filed at the Secretary of State's office. The rule that's filed at the Secretary of State's office is regarding disclosure of rebuilt and salvaged motor vehicles. History behind that, about over a year ago, I believe it was well over a year ago, there was a request from Representative Sparks requesting the Motor Vehicle Commission whether or not they would consider a rule regarding the disclosures of rebuilt or salvaged motor vehicles. And I had spoken with him personally, also our legislative liaison, Mary Beth Gribble, because he was anticipating filing a bill at the legislature requiring these types of disclosures. And I told him at that time that the Motor Vehicle Commission had previously looked at potentially doing a rule similar to this, and I would ask you all. So we came to you all and proposed his request for this rule, and you all asked that legal meet with Jim Cameron and Bob Weaver behind me to come up with some language as to what this rule would be for disclosures. At the time, we all kind of gave notice that under current Tennessee case law, dealers should be disclosing rebuilt and salvaged vehicles to the consumers anyways. The issue we run into is that it's not in the black letter law underneath the motor vehicle dealer licensing statute and whatnot in the rules. So that there would be some kind of more prominent disclosure. So in working with Mr. Cameron and Mr. Weaver, we came in Patrick back there. I don't want to forget him because he was there, and Paula was with me. There was a lot of us. Matt was there on several meetings. But we came up with this rule that would require this disclosure, and there's also a form that the Motor Vehicle Commission had put together. It's a one-page form that every time you sell a vehicle that's been previously rebuilt or salvaged, this form is given to the purchaser. So the rule that's filed currently indicates that that the motor vehicle dealer or salesperson who knows that a motor vehicle has a salvage history or that a motor vehicle's title was previously branded as rebuilt or salvaged shall disclose, acknowledged in writing by the purchaser prior to the consummation of the sale, that the motor vehicle has a rebuilt salvage title or salvage history. And then the disclosure has to be provided on the form. This letter that we received from IAA basically indicates that they state that they are an automobile auction who also has a motor vehicle dealer license. And they indicate that this rule would apply to them, and they predominantly only sell motor vehicles to other dealers out there in the state or dismantlers, and that actually having to provide this form from the Motor Vehicle Commission on the sale of each one of their vehicles would be overly burdensome to them. And they requested on page 2 that there be an exemption, that the Commission create an exemption which would state that this rule that I just previously read to you shall not apply to a wholesale sale if the ownership document for the vehicle is a rebuilt title or a salvage title, and such type information is available to the purchaser prior to the sale. Ms. Dadziva, who wrote this letter, indicates that they, on their website, there is a sale list and it indicates the vehicle has a rebuilt or salvage title, if applicable, so that the bidders know prior to bidding that these vehicles have these types histories, and basically indicating that the letter is redundant. It's legal's obligation to provide you with this letter. What you all do with this letter is really up to the Commission. I will say that this legislative session actually would have kind of changed the context of the automobile auctions and selling of salvage vehicles. That there was a bill that was passed this year that allows certain automobile auctions of a certain size and volume to be able to sell 5 salvaged motor vehicles to individual consumers, individuals per year. So that will be allowed for some of the auto auctions. It's my understanding that IAA would be one that could do that. So what you don't see in this letter is that they could likely sell some of these vehicles to what we consider to be individuals, not dealers. And that this rule, as we applied, would require them to provide that form to those individuals. And that's the only difference between individuals and dealers that I really see. It's the sophistication of it. So they've asked for an exception. Now our rule is currently filed. So that rule, as filed, cannot be modified. There's nothing that we could do today to modify the rule that's there. The only thing that could happen is that the Commission procedurally could withdraw the rule, create an exception, and then we'd start the process over again. The letter that we have from IAA is not an official, I don't see it as an official protest of the rule. The rules that we have at the Secretary of State's office as proposed, the law is this, is that if 10 people or an organization with 10 members can just give notice to the Secretary of State's office and saying, we don't like this rule, and the Secretary of State's office would come back to the commission and say, instead of just filing this rule as a proposed rule, you have to do a rulemaking hearing, which wasn't done in this case. It was a proposed rule, and a rulemaking hearing would just mean that people like IAA and the public could come up and give comment on the rule. So if they wanted an exception, they could come and publicly comment as to that exception. And then the commission could decide and determine whether or not it would like to create that type of exception. But that hasn't happened at this point in time. They just sent a letter to us asking the commission to create this exception. I'm providing this letter to you all and telling you procedurally, if you wanted to right now, the rule is filed, you could not write an exception into this rule that would become effective October 5th. It just could not happen. So I'm open to answer any questions or any comments that you may have about that. If you all wanted to, it would be appropriate if you all wanted to come up with a group reply back to this person in a form of a motion. We would definitely do. If not, then we would probably just write them back saying that we presented this letter back to the commission for their consideration.
How did they come up with 5 salvage titles to the consumer?
You know, I do not know the history of exactly how they got to 5. I don't know if Bob back there knows how they got to 5. But the legislature did say that you could sell 5 motor vehicles to an individual, salvage motor vehicles to an individual from an auto auction. I suspect I know why, but I would be wrong because I was not there and involved.
Salvage or non-repairable?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Bob Weaver, Tennessee Automotive Association. The 5 came up in reference to the legislation that was separate and apart from IAA. Came up, the 5 is the number that requires a dealer's license. If you sell 5 motor vehicles in an annual, in a 1-year period of time, there's an obligation under Tennessee law to have a dealer's license. That's where the 5 came from, the context of that other legislation. It comes up in this case because a request for an exception to the proposed rule, which requires the notice that Representative Sparks had advocated for, which is notice to the consumer they're buying a salvage vehicle. So in this other legislation, it's 5 salvage vehicles or non-repairable vehicles, which is a separate designation of the Tennessee statute. And so that's the basis where the 5 comes in. So IAA, along with the other qualifying auctions who choose to open it up to people who are not licensed as dealers, would have, I think, a continuing obligation under the spirit and intent of Representative Sparks' initiative to provide this notice.
Sounds
Chairman?
like this group would have an opportunity through the normal process of the proposed rule if they wanted to object. Logical to me that we would just allow the process that's currently ongoing.
Have we had any other letters of concern or contacts of concern about this rule?
We have not. Only this one letter.
I agree with Mr. Levy. We could allow comment at some future time. I don't see taking action right now, and I certainly don't like rules that carve out exceptions. One exception leads to another exception and another, and that becomes very onerous. I think that unless there's some specific action recommended by the commission, I think we write a letter and say that it's been addressed.
We will absolutely do that.
Get a motion for that, or is that just a charge that the chair gives?
I would write the letter regardless. If you want to do a motion requesting us to write a letter, that would
That's standard procedure. I see no need for.
No, we would write.
If the commission wishes no action, then it goes to standard procedure. See no need for a motion. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes the rulemaking business that I had for the.
Mr. Chairman, for my clarification, I want to reflect back on our rulemaking to make sure we are all, I think I may have lost track, but I want to direct this to legal. We actually stated and took a vote on the reg flex for the emergency rule and the supplemental rules.
There's no reg flex or economic impact on the emergency rule. Those are both for the larger proposed rules.
I wanted to make sure that we had taken all the proper votes that we needed to. Thank you.
Then we're ready for new business. We don't need to approve a report because we adopted all the motions for that. Okay, move on to new business, Ms. Shaw.
Under new business, Mr. Chairman, we will need to make our determinations about the next year's calendar. We typically set up a calendar, which is our 4 mandatory meetings that we're required to have statutorily. You have under new business the proposed dates under the quarterly meetings. We do set special meeting dates for formal hearings. We have some proposed dates under that category. And then the third category would be for committee dates if we needed these. The special dates and the committee dates are by and large optional. The quarterly meeting dates are the ones that we're locked in. These are the ones we're statutorily obligated to have. And then the formal and the committee dates, we use those as needed, but it allows us to plan ahead and you guys to set your schedules and for us to get everything in order. So if these are presented for your consideration, if you review these and you find that you have a conflict, you can let us know at this point, or we can go ahead and approve the calendar at this point and move forward.
I'd like to say thank you for not making me be here on Easter Sunday. So many Easter Sundays over at the hotel.
Now, these are dates available. These are not, we don't necessarily have cases set for all these.
That's absolutely right. And, as you're well familiar, on a formal hearing, we may set a formal hearing for a particular date, and then we get 2 days before and the case settles. So, but we have to have legal, the ALJs, whomever needs to participate in that meeting, we have to have set dates that we can schedule with those bodies and with you and everything else to make sure that we have all the facilities and all of the people in place to have a proper meeting.
As far as formal hearings that have been continued, we just had the one continued for Mr. Sims. Is that right?
That's correct.
Sadly, I add that Mr. Sims passed away. Okay. I don't want to say on the record what I had some information, but not directly from. It passed away. I think just yesterday or a couple of days ago. The dates and calendar, is that right? Anyone have an issue with that? I don't think we can go through and debate date by date this calendar. Okay, let's use this calendar.
Thank you very much.
Old business. Old business was amended to include a proposed process for scheduling of temp tag fines. And this goes back to when Chairman Faison of the Government Ops Committee addressed the commission regarding a constituent that was a first-time offender and had a rather large fine, and it had a process of one size fits all with no consideration given to first-time offenders, or to give an opportunity for a dealer to get into compliance. So the staff has come up with a proposed process for scheduling tag fines. The max and the minimum hasn't changed. It's just a progression of how to get to who should be fined and who should be given a chance to get into compliance.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would also like to thank the legal division for all of their efforts in guiding us and putting a lot of effort into this too. We've worked as a team to kind of come up with something that we think will be suitable to the will of the legislature and what they had requested. As you stated, this is a response to requests by our friends at the legislature, and what we took a lot of time in considering how to put this together in a structured manner that would not only be the one-size-fits-all, but that it would consider the history of the dealer, and it would consider the egregiousness or the frequency of the infraction. And it allows opportunities for voluntary compliance for the first offense, and it's scalable based on the frequency and severity of the offense. I don't think the previous schedule that we had was not as considerate of those factors, so we worked diligently with the legal division to try to develop a schedule that would take those factors into consideration. In drilling down into temporary tag offenses, there are three primary areas to consider. One is if you're issuing more than 2 temporary tags, which is what's allowable by rule, and the other is if there are deficient entries, partial entries in the log itself, the name, part of the VIN, the information is incomplete, and basically there's not enough information to validate what you're trying to identify or reconcile. And then the third is this failure to maintain a log at all. So in some of the situations we've seen in the past, and I think was the point of the legislature, where you'd have a deficient entry, someone was in a hurry, in a case it's their first offense, they wrote down part of it, they didn't come back and complete the rest of it, and there was no consideration between that and a person that just said, hey, I'm going to do what I want to do anyway, and I just won't keep a log. And so there was no ceiling to the penalties. So I think that between our staff and the legal staff, we've been able to come up with a schedule that addresses those concerns, and that has been presented to you. It does take into effect, like I said, the frequency of the occurrence and a time period. Obviously, if somebody had an infraction this year and 15 years later they had another infraction, that needs to be considered, versus if you have an infraction today and you have one 2 months from now and you have 5 3 months from now. So I think we have been successful in putting together a process that will take those things into consideration. So it's being presented to you for consideration and approval of this work process.
Questions for Ms. Shaw?
Mr. Roberts, it's safe to assume that the new Easy Tag process is going to make this much less likely scenario, meaning you have to input certain things in order for it to, the omissions probably will be lessened because you have to fill it out completely before the tag is issued?
I think the Easy Tag will help in many instances. From what I understand from working with the Department of Revenue, who is over the production of those tags themselves, for a period of time we will have temporary tags issued in both formats, the paper hard tags that we have now, and we will have an electronic tag. The numbering series is completely different. You will see improvements. Those individuals who intend to comply will do everything that they can to comply, and I think that the schedule that we have will help us to address those individuals that continue to violate it becomes apparent over a progression of time. And to your point on the easy tag, that is something that we have put into the Rules Committee discussion, because the way that those tags are organized and maintained in a record for audit purpose, we probably need to look at as a commission so that we can give better guidance to our licensees and to our field staff.
I'm just thinking ahead. If there's a system, there will be a glitch. So I think we need to differentiate between errors that are self-directed at the entity and things that are derived from the system.
Absolutely.
So this doesn't take effect, right? Between those two.
Absolutely, and that's something we have had an opportunity to work closely with the Department of Revenue, and like I said, on our Rules Committee, that's one of the things we want to take into consideration.
One of the good things that I think about this is if we go out there and we see that there are problems, we're going to give them time to fix those issues that they run into. So if they are using a computer system and our inspector goes out there and looks like they've had a glitch, we're just going to say, no, we're going to come back in 2 weeks, fix the glitch.
What we've actually done is implemented a follow-up process for those offenders and tried to approach this in a way that would allow us to, sometimes your infractions happen because of a lack of information or knowledge about what they should be doing. And so if you handle this as in the first time situation as a deficiency noting, as an opportunity to correct, and you do a follow-up, you're providing a service to that licensee who actually intends to do it properly. They just need a little guidance. So it does take that consideration. But it also identifies the fact that not everyone has the proper intention, and it allows us to evaluate those things as they progress through the tiered system. As the opportunities we give to educate, correct, those things will eventually surface, and we will be able to identify them and address those situations with the licensees in a fair and equal manner.
Question, as far as putting temporary tags on vehicles, I know certain counties are especially the police department, going around and finding dealers instead of on the bumper. And some counties are doing it, some counties are not doing it. They're getting fined. Is that something that was brought up with you guys, or is there an actual process with that, or what is the actual procedure on where to put temp tags?
I think that is a display would be an issue to be taken up with the Department of Revenue.
Department of Revenue and also the Department of Safety.
Are there anyone in the audience that has that represents auto dealers that would have a comment or concern? I see a couple popping up here. Mr. Weaver, Chair recognizes.
Chairman, members of the Commission, Bob Weaver, Tennessee Automotive Association. Yes, Mr. Masso, on a long-term basis, as the EZ program is implemented, and there's not going to be immediate requirement for dealers to use that system, but one of the beauties of what they propose is that tag log is presented and maintained, and so I think that is a long-term benefit for that. On the display, Mr. Galvin, the current law says it just has to be displayed clearly, and with paper tags, there's been disagreement among the various law enforcement jurisdictions, but it's very clear that the back window works as well as the plate display. On a go-forward basis, as we move to the print-on-demand temporary tags, they will have to be placed on the license plate holder. But that's on a go-forward basis, and so the current law says it can be in either place as long as it's visible. If those vehicles with heavily smoked glass, you can't see the temporary tag visibly, that's a problem and would have to be displayed otherwise. One of the aspects of this new system that Commissioner Roberts and Department of Revenue is has been very clear is it's going to be a live, real-time update, so that when a law enforcement officer conducts a stop, as he says at 2 o'clock in the morning, there'll be real-time information he can gain from scanning that temporary tag. to show, is this vehicle, does this tag agree with the vehicle? Do we know whether this has been a stolen tag? Is it on the correct car? Is it in the state system? So from a protection of the law enforcement side of the equation, that's been one of his goals from the outset. So on a go-forward basis, it will have to be displayed on the tag holder, but right now, the current law, paper tags go in the window or down below, either way.
Noble?
Questions?
I'm sorry. Yeah, Mr. Noble from the Independent Auto Dealer.
Harold Noble, Tennessee Independent Auto Dealer Association. Just a couple of things. On the temp tag log, on the new Easy Tag, we're working with those folks to try to help our dealers. They haven't really answered my question of how we're going to record them again. I'm working with the people over in East Tennessee. Do we record that tag number or same information on our log like we normally do? Does anybody have that answer?
I think I can partially address that question. We have been working with them, and Mr. Noble, we have asked exactly the same questions, and so we have been instrumental in understanding and helping to guide them between what our needs are, what the dealer's needs are, and how that tag would be recorded. We can take this discussion offline, but in the new electronic format, it is handled differently than in the paper format, and which is another reason why we wanted to address this in the Rules Committee. Those tags are, I hesitate to say renewable, but they will not be using a second tag number. It's electronic, and it will show when it's renewed, and they will print a paper report. The licensed dealers will be able to print the report. The enforcement people will be able to print the report. So the reports will be in two completely different formats for the paper versus the electronic. That's some of the efficiencies to be gained by the electronic, is that it links the two up, but there are still other audit mechanisms to be put into place, but we are working with, as I'm sure you are and all of the dealers are, and Department of Revenue is very, very mindful of what the dealers need and what we all need to be able to have consistency in that reporting and minimize confusion. That's why we wanted to work with and make sure that the vendor had worked with our field enforcement to explain to them in detail how this works before it pushed out even any further, because we don't want confusion between our licensees and enforcement people.
Thank you. Couple questions on the RV thing, just for clarification. You have to have an RV license along with a dealer's license too? Is that, if you're is this just for franchise RV dealers, or what about the guys that are taking in used RVs and selling used RVs? Because franchise dealers and independents do that too.
Pretty sure when it goes into effect, it'll only apply to new RV dealers.
So an independent dealer or franchise dealer that's taking something in on trade, motorized or non-motorized, will still be able to sell it and offer it for sale.
Your independent dealer could take in a used RV and resell it just like he does now under the same license. The only time that there would be a difference would be if he then became a franchised seller of recreational vehicles, and at that point in time, obviously the franchise requirements and the license for a franchise RV dealer would come into play.
He could have both of those on the same lot.
He could, but he could also sell used cars under his franchised RV license, so it comes out of balance.
Okay, so that was another question. One more question. If you're a franchised RV dealer and we're using the same laws that we have for automotive, when they have the big RV show downtown, in the past it's been, I think Bob will attest to this, that if you are a motorized RV dealer, you couldn't offer that vehicle for sale there. You couldn't negotiate the sale, but yet all the tag-alongs and non-motorized RV dealers were offering those for sale and making deals.
There's no change.
Okay. So they can still do that then? Because I've got a couple RV dealers that are new that I work with, and so that's a question that's going to come up. Can we still do those shows? We can't offer the motorized, but we can offer the non-motorized.
Clarification, the genesis of this RV franchise bill came from the RVIA and the RVDA, which is a Recreational Vehicle Dealers Association, and the RVIA, which is the manufacturer's counterpart. And it's really sets up a separate franchise law. They were looking to set up a uniform law that works across the country. That was the genesis of the bill. So it has more to do with the relationship between the franchisor and the franchisee rather than change it. There's a great deal of effort made to make sure that the rules, laws, and regulations that an RV dealer operated under today, subject to the enforcement by this commission, stayed in place.
And
You're doing a great job. Appreciate it.
I would like to add to that as well. We've had just along that line, which is something that all dealers may be interested in. We've had a number of been contacted by insurance companies asking about the secondary bond. A bond being if you already have an existing, let's say you're a used dealer and you're going to sell used RVs or vice versa, if they would be required to have a secondary bond. No, it's all addressed under the same bond.
Oh, to clarify, if you're an RV dealer at a show, you can sell that RV at that show.
I'm going to yield to Mr. Weaver on this because I know he's worked in extent on this.
The existing law remains the same. At an RV show, you can sell non-motorized at the show. You can't sell motorized.
You can show the RV.
Show it, but, yeah, got it. Thank you.
All right. We cover that segment. If we've covered that segment, if we could turn back to the temporary tag agreed citation fee schedule. And okay, Commissioner Jackson, motion to adopt.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Vaughn.
And thank you for doing this. I know that was a lot of work.
Thank you all.
We did need this. It's getting rough out there.
But we've all worked on it for a long time.
Yeah, and thank you for
Great job on that. That's perfect.
thanks to the legal staff and the MV staff as well. So, any further comments or questions on that motion? If not, I guess roll call vote.
Chairman Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Tomaso,
Yes.
Commissioner Levy,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Work on that. Mr. Reddish, Ms. Shaw. Okay, does that conclude our business, Ms. Shaw?
That does conclude our business for the commission meeting. We will have a Rules Committee meeting. I think we maybe want to break for lunch.
Break for lunch. Well, this meeting will adjourn, and then we'll have the Rules Committee separate. You're welcome to attend. It's an open meeting. And Commissioner Schaefer is the new chairperson of that. And do we need to call the names of the people on that committee?
On the
Or does everyone on that committee know?
Commissioner Schaefer is the chairperson. Vaughn, he messed me up. I know.
I call.
You know, it works for whatever.
And
We go way back. I can't help it.
Exactly. Commissioner Murray and Commissioner Fox as well.
okay, my file is misplaced.
And there's one more to be determined. It was the
Well, Commissioner White is also on here, but she's absent.
She's
Commissioner
absent
White,
today,
and
and
then
then there's another commission
the
member.
other one is the first congressional district appointee that is to be determined. Commissioner Wells hired. So that would be it. Okay. With no further business for the good of the state of Tennessee, is there a motion to adjourn?
Commissioner Jackson, motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Vaughn. Those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Those that want to hang around, say no. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back. We're only just having-